This is our source curation on comedy by Skylar, Antonia, Phoebe, and Ella. The general definition of ancient Greek comedy is a form of theater that mocked the forms of media such as philosophy, politics, and other fellow Greek artists. They offer the modern world details of legal structure, government, and law enforcement. Greek comedy is separated into two different time periods, old and new. Theater and entertainment was significant to the Greeks. They took the art seriously and considered it an investigation into human nature. Athens' failure in the Peloponnesian War marked the end of Old Comedy. Old Comedy had fantastical elements that were no longer relevant to the harsh reality of the suffering Greeks. This signified the beginning of New Comedy.
Old Comedy refers to works written before or in 5th century BCE. The most famous playwright known for his plays is Aristophanes, who wrote Wasps and Clouds. It consists of constant, crude, and cheap jokes, implementing popular language within it. Satirical anecdotes were made up of many topics, especially politics and at times mythology, those straying away from the mysteries and prominent gods within the story. There were many unrealistic stretches with time and place.
The Clouds, a comedy written by Aristophanes, is a satirical work towards Socrates. An Athenian man in debt enrolls his son into a school teaching Socrates' philosophies, so that he can gain the skills to pull himself out of the debt that his father has accumulated. But instead, he develops a disrespect for society and its expectations, which leads him to burn the school itself down. This is a translation by William James Hickey. Hear me again, King Phoebus, Delian Apollo, who inhabitest the high-peaked Cynthian rock, and thou, blessed goddess, who inhabitest the all-golden house of Ephesus, in which Lydian damsels greatly reverence thee, and thou, our national goddess, sawyer of the Aegeus, Minerva, guardian of the city, and thou, reveler Bacchus, who inhabiting the Parnassian rock, sparklest with torches conspicuous among the Delphic bacchanals. Here is another translation by Benjamin Bickley Rogers. Phoebus, my king, come to me still, thou who holdest the Cynthian hill, the lofty peak of the Delian isle, and thou his sister, to whom each day Lydian maidens devoutly pray, in thy stately gilded Ephesian pile, and Athene, our lady, the queen of us all, with Aegeus of God, O come to my call, and thou whose dancing torches of pine flicker Persidian glades among, Dionysus, star of the Maenad throng, come reveler most divine. See, these are different.
Present in the late 4th century BCE, New Comedy was also considered Middle Comedy, a transitional time between Old and New Comedy. New Comedy focused more on plot and utilized more recurring characters. The chorus, originally very prevalent in Old Comedy, becomes less important for plot development. The 5-act structure, present in many works later, was established during this time. There was much less personal attacks and satire due to law restrictions on the topics allowed to be talked about. Instead, many works evolved around fictional but everyday life and human relationships.
Menander, a famous playwright from this era, wrote Dyskolos, or The Grouch. Dyskolos was the only play by Menander to be fully intact to this day, centered around a man named Naaman who tries to keep a wealthy Athenian man from marrying his daughter. The Loeb Classical Library is the only series of books to exist that gives large access to important Greek and Latin literature of all kinds, many of which cannot be found from other sources. This is the translation of Dyskolos, lines 150 through 165, that are from this library. These are the same lines translated by Dr. Vincent J. Rosevach, currently professor of classical studies at Fairfield University. He has written an academic book on sexual exploitations of women in New Comedy, which won an award in 1999. He currently focuses his research on the society and institutions of archaic Athens, as well as Roman comedy. Both Old and New Comedy served as an outlet for free opinions. Old Comedy was known for political and cultural exploitations and provides insight on how normal citizens viewed certain leaders and other aspects of their culture. New comedy, though much lighter, changed to topics of contemporary everyday life, which can provide insight on how life was or the ideals of what everyday life could be.